Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Right on Track. Joining me on the show today is a wonderful guest I'm delighted to have a chat with. Please welcome Kate Harding. Hey, Kate.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so excited you're on the show today because we're going to be chatting about having a support system as an artist. But before we dive into this conversation, I would love for you to share a little about yourself and your journey in music so far.
Okay, well, I'm right at the beginning, so I don't have a very long story at all. I recorded for the first time officially in a proper recording studio about 2 weeks ago with Tyler Spicer. So we're working on this country record. It's called Wallflower. I wrote it in my early 20s, which is going to give away how old I am. Yes, I wrote the song nearly. I was in my early 20s, and I guess just life has happened, and I almost had an opportunity to do something with it. And my boss was terminally ill at the time, and so I decided to just concentrate on my career and not focus on music at that point in my life. And I believe that was for a reason. So fast forward to now, and here we are. And a couple of months back, I had emergency surgery to remove my appendix. It burst, and I was in a hospital, and I was just frustrated with myself, thinking, "Gosh, something could actually happen to me, and I would never have recorded that song, or other songs that I've written, and I've just never really given it that focus." So I kind of got cross with myself, and I was like, "Right, we're going to do something about this." I started a Kickstarter on my birthday, which is mid-December, and I asked my friends, my family, people that I know to kind of help me put some money together so that I could actually, focus on recording this song. Because I guess I have a 6-year-old daughter called Emma, and any money that I'm earning really goes towards Emma and what we do as a family. So it was very difficult. I was kind of thinking, when am I ever going to be able to kind of focus this, kind of money to create a song on me? And that's why I decided to do a Kickstarter. It was actually a journalist friend of mine that works in food and drink, who loves country music. We were talking about it, and he said you should try this to kind of, maybe just bring people out on this journey with you. So that's kind of where we are. So we've recorded it. Tyler is pretty much almost finished the song, and I believe we're about 4 to 6 weeks away from release. So yeah, you're the first person that I've had an interview with. So I'm really excited to be speaking with you and hear your lovely American accent.
Oh, so exciting. Well, congratulations and thank you for sharing your whole journey and all of that. I think that life definitely gets in the way from time to time. And when we have dreams and we feel like there are other things in our lives that take priority, we push them off, push them off. And I had a similar thing where when I was in undergrad, I really wanted to start pursuing songwriting, but I was double majoring in music and creative writing, and I had always focused on my education so much. And so I was like, this isn't the time. I don't have the time to chase a dream right now. And so I put it off. And then when I graduated with both my Bachelor of Arts, I started to look for a producer, started to record even when I was doing my master's. And so I think I had a similar thing of, I can't push this off anymore. And now you are finally taking that leap into being an artist. And it's very exciting and it is a little scary. I remember my debut days, but it seems like you already have a nice support system around you, which is a perfect transition into our chat and the quote for this episode. So, can you read our quote?
Yeah, sure. The quote that you sent me is, "There is no us and them. It's an illusion. We are all human beings, and we all have a responsibility to support one another," by Roger Waters.
So, what does this mean to you as a new artist starting to break into the industry?
Well, I guess it's very appropriate for me because yes, I couldn't be here talking to you. I wouldn't have got the work. I wouldn't have, the wind beneath my wings is everybody else really. And that's whether that's well wishes, whether it was, some people might have contributed £5, somebody might have contributed £100. It's not, even if people, people who contacted me saying, oh, it's heading up to Christmas, I can't contribute right now, but I really wish you the best of luck. It was just, yeah, the people around me, it's just made me, almost validate what I was doing. That I'm not having, instead of, I'm having a midlife crisis, and instead of buying a Harley Davidson, I'm recording a country record. So uh yeah, that was, yeah, no, I it means, yeah, it means everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people I've met around me. And I feel like some of the people I've met along the way have been complete serendipity as well, and chance that, these connections have happened. But somebody very recently said to me, they almost said, when you first start taking those steps, you almost sort of start attracting those kind of people to you. And then, that's how you meet people along the way that can kind of help you get there. And in terms of what I do for a job, I help other people. So me moving into an industry where it's really unknown and it's unfamiliar territory. But I'm finding that there are other people that are there willing to help me. It's just great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love everything you said. And one thing about this quote that I love so much is that it's pointing out how there's no us and them, like there's no difference. And I think as songwriters and artists, sometimes artists can get into the headspace of, this is my career, I'm in the spotlight, I'm the one chasing this dream, and kind of moving through their journey without helping others along the way and making connections. And I truly think the best thing about being a songwriter and an independent artist especially is the community, finding friends, making connections, building your network. You cannot do this alone. Like you said, you wouldn't be doing this interview right now if you didn't have a support system. I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't have a support system. And I think it's really great that you are literally just getting started and you already have the mindset early on that it's about all of us together, not me, it's not them, it's all of us together. And I think that's a really great mindset to have because you definitely attract the energy that you put out. And if you are somebody who gives and helps others and puts positivity into the world, you will attract that back. And so I think it's really great as an artist to recognize that, yes, you are focused on your career, but being there for others and supporting others is really, really important because, especially as independent artists, it can be hard to break through and be recognized for our work. And so when you have family members, friends, others in the industry who support you, that really gives you validation that you belong. And so in turn, I think it's really important for us to return that favor to others and support others who are chasing their dreams as well. So, I don't know about you, but just getting started, it can be a little scary to put yourself out there and start building those connections. So, how has it been like for you to make industry connections as a new artist?
I guess I'm really, really, really lucky. I live within 5 minutes walk from, it's a place called Casemates Rehearsal Studios, and I can, if I'm going to try and describe this place, it's very, very old. Apparently, it's haunted. It used to be used in like World War II. Lots of ammunition used to be stored there, so it's very, very old building, but it's been restored in a way that all of the different archways are different rehearsal rooms. And then at the end, there's a cafe and then a little bar where you can have tea, coffee, and they have like open mic nights on a Monday. They even have like a guitar jam on a Wednesday. And it's just become a real hub and a place where creativity kind of is just encouraged and stems from. And you can just be sat there having a coffee with someone and go, yeah, do you know such and such? Or do you know somebody, I'm looking for an acoustic guitar player at the moment, who could you recommend I speak to? So it's kind of those conversations, and then it might not be, you might not have the answer, but they might not have the answer, but they might know somebody who does. And yeah, generally it's kind of yeah, being, just walking towards that web that you're able to make those connections. So I guess it was those guys that put me in touch with somebody who was actually too busy to be working with me at that time, but it was them who suggested that I speak to, that I reach out to Tyler.
What I love so much is what you're highlighting is having conversations with people, and that is so important because oftentimes it's not always just seeing who you can connect with the intent of getting something that you need or an opportunity that you want. Sometimes it's just having genuine conversations with people that turn into relationships and turn into industry connections. And I think, like, looking back to my early days, I'm super introverted. And so it's hard for me to step outside my comfort zone and talk to people and make connections. But once I started to do that, I learned right away that the conversations and the relationships are the backbone of your career in this industry as a whole. You cannot do anything without the connections. And what's really great too is you're definitely going to notice this as well as you move forward in your journey too, is that once you start making these connections, you will always have people that you could go to for things, or people just come to you for opportunities if they think of you. Like, I've had friends say, like, oh, I just got interviewed and they asked for a referral and I thought of you, so somebody may be reaching out. Or for me with this podcast, like, I have so many connections now with like promoters and publicists and managers, where if a spot would open and I need to fill a spot, I can just reach out and say, hey, I have an opening, do you have anybody to fill it? And so it's really great when you start to have these connections that both ways, you and the other person, you can start to rely on each other for opportunities, information, and all of that.
Yeah, and what's great is that so far nobody that I've spoken to has kind of gone, nope. I've not reached a dead end. So yeah, I'm really lucky.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I feel like when you're getting started, you are very lucky, I would say, because you're here doing an interview right now. When I released my debut single, I didn't get the opportunity to do that. And I think, like, for you, you are working with Scarlet River PR for your single, which is fantastic. For me, I did all of my releases solo. I didn't work directly with a promoter or a PR company other than my single Cross the Pond, which Rachel actually did, because that song is basically a thank you love letter to the UK for supporting me, and so it just made sense for me to work with her for that release, back
Oh
in
wow.
2021, 2? I don't even remember when I released my music anymore. 2022, I think it was. But yeah, I think it's really great to recognize that you will get some opportunities and some will be dead ends and you won't get all the opportunities, and so I think it's really great to always remember that, just to be grateful for the things you do get and for the people who do support you, because that won't come from everybody. And so recognizing the ones who do take a chance on you and do support you, I think it's really important to never forget those people, especially the ones who are at the beginning. Like, I still talk to my friend Jess, who runs a blog called Fierce and Fabulous Revolution. She gave me my very first review, and to this day Jess and I are still friends, and I think it's really great to remember that, yeah, like, as you're continuing on, if you break through and become like a major label signed artist, like, never forget the people who helped you at the beginning, because you wouldn't be where you are in the future without those people who supported you first.
Exactly. Hey, this interview would be in the Netflix documentary. Who knows?
For sure. So speaking more on support system, I want to highlight here that I think it's really great because the support system will be there to celebrate with you and share your highlights, but they will also be with you through the rough times and the obstacles that you're facing as well, and make you remember that you're not alone. So for you, just getting started in this music adventure, what have your experiences been like, both with having the support system to celebrate, maybe when you finally finish recording your single and all of that, but also some of the obstacles you may have faced as well to motivate you to keep going?
I don't know. I guess I don't have a. Although I have a lot of connections on like LinkedIn, I have a lot of connections on Facebook. I have quite a close friend network, I guess. And I've moved a lot through my life. So I live, I live with my partner, I live with my daughter, and she is a 6-year-old cheerleader. Basically, everything I do is amazing to her. I could tell her I could be doing anything for a job, and she'll think it's amazing. So, but no, she really truly does. She is everything when it comes to singing. She sings all the time as well. And yeah, when I played the first recording to her, I heard her singing it in the bathroom. She was washing her hands and she's sort of singing it away. And so one, it's kind of a good sign that it might be catchy. But yeah, she's absolutely fabulous. But I guess what I really was trying to say is actually it's kind of a weird one that I feel quite alone in this. It's not like anybody who's necessarily close to me that I know really well does this. So it's not like I can really just pick up the phone and talk to somebody about it because it's not like they understand would necessarily understand what I'm going through. I feel quite exposed, like putting myself out there and putting my hopes and dreams out there, and then just hoping it kind of works. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a big thing. It's okay with it. That it was something I've always wanted to do, and that was kind of for me to know, and not everybody else. But now it's on my Facebook, it's on my Instagram, it's everywhere. So that kind of gives me the extra willpower to make it happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I really like what you mentioned about how no one really close to you is doing this exact same thing. And you're exactly right in the fact that people who are not in a creative industry like this, they do not understand. They could have like just from the outside looking in, they can get a sense of some things, but as long as you're living it, you understand. If you're not just looking in, you definitely don't. And as well as being a songwriter, I'm also an author, and it's the same thing where I will like talk to my author or industry, like publishing industry friends, and they get it. And then I'm talking to like my friends who aren't in publishing, and they just do not understand. And I think it's really great to recognize that as you continue again, you will get those people in your life where you can just pick up the phone. Like at the beginning, I didn't have anybody. And that's the thing, you feel alone in it. And that's one of the hardest things to get through at the beginning because you feel like you're alone. You feel like nobody around you understands it. But once you start to make genuine industry friends, like I have like artist friends that I can just like text now or call and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Or I'm thinking about releasing a song. What are your thoughts on it? Or I saw this thing going on in the industry. What do you think about it? And it's really great to have those people. But at the beginning, I didn't. And so I think one of the things with the support system too is not only having the support of friends and family that have always been in your life, but also focusing on building that support system in the industry so you have those people that you can pick up the phone and call if you have a question or need advice.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very lucky again. Completely randomly. So this is nothing really to do with country music apart from the second musical I did. But last Easter, I stumbled into musical theatre. I guess it was something I wanted to do when I was little, and it always seemed something that was unachievable for me. It was something that kids learn to do, like they go to stage school or something. So it was never something I could do. But a local theatre, which is a absolutely gorgeous, beautiful theatre. Um, they were doing like a community production, so it was open auditions. And my dad sent it to me because it was one of my favorite films growing up. It was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Don't laugh.
Oh, I
um,
love it. Oh my goodness.
he sent me this he sent me this audition that I could go to. It was only in it was 5 days time or something like that. So I emailed them and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's too late notice, but I'd love to come along and audition. So I did, and I thought, I just want to enjoy the process and see what happens. But yeah, I was part of the ensemble. We got to perform for, I don't know how many shows we did. It was something like 10 or something crazy. There were some days where we did 2 performances. We'd had a matinee and an evening performance. So I got to kind of experience this crazy world of craziness. But I also started to meet people who were perhaps a bit like me, who I just, like to just dress up as other people and sing on stage. um, So that was great. And then so I kind of thought, oh, I'm not going to do that again. That was absolutely exhausting. Trying to do that and work and be a parent was hard. But then I saw another company, very, very local to me. We're going to do we're going to do 9 to 5, the musical, which of course is written by the Queen, Dolly Parton,
Right.
and I couldn't not go to the audition for that. So I went to these 2 things. So even though I knew deep down I wanted to do this song, this I wanted to get Wallflower out there. Musical theatre has been the most gorgeous distraction in the whole wide world. But it's actually some of the people that I've met in the cast and the people who are behind both of these shows. It's those people who have really got behind this song in a big way and keep checking in on me actually as well and saying, "Oh, how's it going?" and things like that. So that's great. So yeah, I think like you said, it's some of the people when you start moving in that direction and the people you make, and then you've got something in common, I guess, that have really been, yeah, really been checking in on me. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I'm so happy that you took those opportunities, and even though you really wanted to go with the country music, you did those musicals and you made those connections, and now those are friends that are supporting you now. I think that maybe, I don't know, a year, 2 years ago, you weren't expecting to do something like that, but you did, and you were allowing yourself to be adventurous and have fun along the way. And I think that's really great how I think the other thing too is that you'll make connections in the most unexpected places and you'll get opportunities from the most unexpected places. And the more people you know, the more connections you have, the bigger your network is, the more those unexpected opportunities will come your way, and the more support you'll have from various people in your life, which I think is incredible. So now I want to shift gears and give you a chance to chat a little about your single. So, if you could share a little about what it's called and the inspiration behind it, and also give a glimpse into the recording process, because this was the first song you actually recorded in the studio, so that must have been a great experience as well.
Yeah. Okay. So it's called Wallflower. I wrote it about a real person, about a real situation. I was in a relationship where it was going really, really well. It was I'd met the family, and you just get all the signs. I'm talking about when you're like 6 months in, and you're thinking, oh gosh, he's going to say the 3 words any day now, and they just never came. And there was a period of time where he was going to be working away, and I dropped him off at the airport. And I thought he's going to say it before he gets out the car. Definitely going to say it. And he just grabbed his bags and he was like, thanks, because I'd given him a lift. It's quite a long drive for me to go back back to London, and yeah, he just got out the car and was just like, "Thank you, bye," or "Thank you, darling," or and just got out the car and walked away. And I think it was just this frustration. I mean, thank God he didn't, otherwise I wouldn't have written the song. But at the time, there was just this frustration that I just couldn't, I don't know, I just never had to process before. And I don't think I've really ever had to pull over in the car and and voice record something before, because the lyrics came, the melody came, and I just had to start. I had just kept pulling over and recording bits um, on my drive home. So basically, I didn't. I never. There was no process as such. There was no sitting down with a pen and thinking about it. I think it was just given to me by somebody from somewhere that just went, "Oh, this is how you're going to deal with this situation." And yeah, I voice recorded it basically, and I told no one about it. This is something that it was just me. It was a process. It was almost like when I was a teenager, I used to write like a journal, or we call it a diary. You put your thoughts and your feelings down on a page, and sometimes I would write poetry, and sometimes I would put a melody to that. So I guess in my teens, I kind of played around with writing songs, but I'd never ever done anything with it. There was no TikTok of how to do things then. There was no encouraging of that kind of thing at school. It was just a creative process that I kind of kept to myself. So yeah, it was just something I had to myself. And then randomly one day, I was singing karaoke with my sister. I think it was Boxing Day in a pub in the middle of nowhere. We get approached by this chap, and he says, "Would you come and I'd like to sample some of your vocals on a record that I'm working on." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I followed this gentleman. I'd never met him before. These are things that you probably would not do now. But in my early 20s, of course, I'm going to go to this strange man's house with a room on the side of his house. And he had I was very naive and very trusting.
Oh my god. That's
And
funny.
yeah, I drank some beers and I did the vocals that he wanted me to. He was actually a really lovely guy. His name was Ian, and he just had said to me, have you ever written anything yourself?" And I said, "Oh, funny you should say that," because it had very recently happened. I said, "Funny you should say that." So I'm sat on the sofa drinking beer and I start singing. And the guy just lifts up a guitar off of the wall. He has like seven of them or something on it. Well, he just lifts one up and he just starts playing to this song that I had in my head. And it was just the spookiest experience I think I've ever had. And I was like, "Oh wow, that was really cool." Yeah, and I guess I had the opportunity then to do something with the song, but as I explained earlier, I just couldn't for commitment reasons at the time. Um, but yeah, fast forward nearly 15, nearly 20 years, and all things have changed. So
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I really love how the inspiration for this song came out of nowhere and you did the voice note, and right away you knew it was something special because I think the songs that come like that are always extra special. Obviously, the ones that you sit down and you write and you're thinking through and you're crafting are great too. But I think the ones that just come from a very special place that you can't really identify are definitely great ones, and I'm really happy that you're able to bring this song back so many years later to finally release it. So, what was the recording process like for this song?
yeah, it was relatively straightforward. We guess we'd been I guess because I had the chords, I kind of knew where the song was gonna go. I got into the studio and Tyler had already he'd pretty much done everything. It was amazing. I've called him. He'll probably hate me for saying this, but I've called him like a musical wizard because I don't know how he does it, but he can play. He's like Mary Poppins. He could just play a musical instrument, any musical instrument you pick one, he could play it. He's already pulled together all of my dreams into 3 minutes, and I arrive, and basically I'm able to. I don't still don't know how it took us 6 hours to. I guess I talk a lot, so that was probably most of that was me talking. Um, but yeah, we actually managed to get the vocals down and played around with some of the harmonies as well. That was probably one of my favorite parts. Was just experimenting with singing it in a different way in
Yeah.
different places.
Mhm.
And then hearing that now, so what, I'm 2 weeks on from where we had that session. So 2 weeks on, I get to hear that back, and then I get to hear where those pieces fit in. And for me, I just like, oh, I just go all tingly and all fizzy inside. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, yeah, I know I keep saying magic, but that's what it feels like for me. So it's
Yeah.
like, how did you just take something that was like in my head, pull it together, but then just like make it 10 times better? Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Literally, I love studio days. I love working with my producer. At this point, I basically co-produce all my stuff. So I'm in the studio. We like build all the tracks and we do everything together. I bring in my musicians that are playing for me, or I'm doing piano or whatever. But I think it's really great, like getting the chance to experiment. And harmonies are my favorite. I love doing the harmonies, and one of my songs, Afterthought, it was so fun because there's all these layered background vocals, and, it was really funny because after we did the recording, I told my producer, I said, "I feel bad for you having to mix this because there's so many." I asked him, I was like, "How many vocal tracks are there?" He's like, "You don't even wanna know." There are so many, but it's really fun when you get to take something that you hear in your head and translate that into a tangible song, and then be able to share that with others. It's so exciting, and I'm so, so excited for you to finally get the chance to do this with Wallflower. So, for listeners that are going to hear it soon, what do you hope they take away from this song?
I guess at the time, it it was that frustration of, you can't control what the other person feels. You just can't. So even though I felt like I was in the middle of this dance floor having a great time in this amazing relationship, whereas I knew he was about 12 years older than me, so he had been hurt. He'd been through the ringer. He clearly had some trust issues, maybe. She just wasn't on the same page. And yeah, even if someone says that they are, you could never really see that what you're going through is the same thing as what they're seeing. There's two people in a relationship, and that relationship could be two very different things. It's kind of your side, their side, and the truth somewhere in the middle. So yeah, but it's just this perspective of one moment in time. And that's all it is, really. It's not me forever longing to be loved. It's just in that moment in time. I think I I was in my early 20s, so I was not long had I left home, really. So this was one of my very, very early relationships early on. And you do feel vulnerable, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I love how you said that it's just a moment in time. And I think that's the most special thing about releasing music, especially once you do it for years, because I can look back at my debut album and that was a period of my life. And then my EP was a period of my life. And my new album that's in mixing right now is the current period of my life. And I think it's really cool how our original music encapsulates a certain period of our life and we're able to show our life through song. And I think that's really great because when we look back at those songs, they will remind us of different experiences we've had, whether they be good ones or bad ones. But in the moment, like after the fact, looking back, it's just reminding us of a moment in our life that we were inspired to write a song about. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So, congratulations on your single. I'm so excited for its release very soon. And
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. So, before we wrap things up, what are some final thoughts you would like to share on why it's important to have a support system as an artist?
I think it's important because I guess it's almost imagine um, you are in a rowing boat and there's only you rowing it. y- uh, whether it be the tide or the wind, perhaps you could change course at any moment. Whereas if you've got people to actually help you, if everybody is pulling in the right direction, um, then you're much more likely to either reach your destination in the first place, or you might even get there quicker, especially if you're good to people along the way as well. Um, so yeah, I'll give you the rowing boat analogy. Um, but yeah, I just I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for my partner. He is my rock, and he is the one that is in all of this. So whether it be the theatre, whether it be the being missing for rehearsals or recording that I had to drive 2 hours to go do, he's the one who's looking after my 6-year-old daughter as well. So he's like looking after her emotions whilst I'm going through all of this as well. So I don't know how he does it, but or why he puts up why he puts up with me. But I think he can see that when I'm being creative, I'm happy, and I'm guessing that's why.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much again for joining me on the show. Before we wrap up for good, I wanted to give you the chance to share where everyone can connect with you online.
Great. Well, at the moment, I was going to change it, but maybe I shouldn't now if I'm going to start telling people where it is. I'm Kate Harding Country at Kate Harding Country on Instagram and Facebook.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much again for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed this chat with Kate Harding. And until next time,
Stay
stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.